Welcome to P3 Radio.
The monkey only dances as good as the guy grinding the organ handle.
Brother.
I fly, bro. That is never stopping.
Truck goes to the white.
Cool story, bro.
Footy pajamas.
Hey, genius, it's 2 p.m. Central.
PG3 Radio.
Here's your host, Josh Riley.
Get him off pig, Freddy. Get him off pig.
Richard Mulligan.
And as I put you down, my pants ripped.
It's showtime! It's showtime! It's showtime!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of P3 Radio. I'm Richard Mulligan, joined by my co-host, the man who was the Mr. Dixie Youth Champion of 1983, and best friend Josh Briley. Say hey, Josh.
How is it going, everybody? Richard, how you doing, my man?
Well, I am doing great, and we are joined.
But
yeah,
guess what?
We are joined by somebody here, Josh.
Indeed, we are joined. We are a threesome today, and the one that is completing the triangle. We got none other, the man without a home himself, Josh Goldblay, in the house. What's up, man?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to be here. I finally get to record.
It's been a long time, right?
That's right. The microphone always makes me sound ridiculous to myself, but I'm hoping that everybody else enjoys it a little bit.
Well, we are happy you're here because you're a big fan of MMA and UFC.
And this podcast, if we're being honest.
Ooh. Nice.
I appreciate that.
Weirdly
man.
enough, it's a love-hate relationship sometimes.
So if you like us enough, we'll bring you in.
Yep.
If you listen, we
If you just butter their bread a little bit, they'll bring you on in to be part of the threesome. And we eventually might make it a foursome if they keep inviting me back. I'm just going to keep coming.
Be like a damn key party in here eventually.
Woo.
Just go ahead. Come on in.
It'll get wild, that's for sure.
Build another room. Yeah. But no, we're happy you're here because of your MMA knowledge, because today we have none other than legendary MMA fighter and promoter, Johnathan Ivey. And that was perfect time for my phone to go off and say, guess who?
Yeah.
Johnathan Ivey, the leg lock monster. He's going to be up right after this break. Like I said, this is a special edition of P3 Radio. We're interviewing Johnathan on this one. We're also going to be doing a few other shows here with Josh and Josh. And if they want to check those out, Josh, how do they find our normal podcast? And can you tell them all about it?
Well, normally you would if you're listening, you've already got the bone. The bone has been thrown to you. But if you want to tell your friends, you can listen to us on any podcasting app or whatever, Google Play, iTunes, and whatever else, Podbean, you name it, we are there. P3 Radio, all one word. And if you're on Twitter, we are at P3 Radio, the number 1. And on Facebook, put in that search bar, Pop Poncho, Poncho, not Pancho. We are Poncho.
The easiest way to find it is their profile picture will be their wanted poster.
Exactly.
Yes.
And
So,
if you want to get with us the old school way, 731-300-6675.
feel free to prank call that number. I mean, that's a 24-hour.
We get the most out of the prank call.
Yeah, so prank call it and say whatever's on your mind. If you're in traffic and you just want to give a big F you to the guy that's in front of you.
If you have multiple personalities and you need to get that other gimmick out of you
yeah,
call it out. And
whatever you
we'll
need
play
to do to not rear end somebody in traffic. If you just want to call and talk about their stupid Salt Life sticker or something, go ahead.
Make sure that if you're in the state of Tennessee, you do it hands-free. Otherwise, you might get a ticket.
Indeed.
Well, Josh, I see it right now on our phone lines. He's here. Let's not make him wait. Let's cue up the entrance music.
Don't get your leg locked. You hear me? Anybody out there? Okay, just be glad he's not selling dope. All right. I'm Ivey, known for breaking.
All right, Josh, I'm excited because it's been about 2 years since we've had this gentleman on the podcast. Friend of the show. I want to say friend of the show. God, I hope he's not an enemy of the show.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
I really want this guy to like us. But he is coming up on a big event March 6th in Murfreesboro. He's a legendary MMA fighter and promoter. Give it up for the leg lock monster, Johnathan Ivey. Johnathan, welcome to P3 Radio.
What's up, Richard? What's up, Josh? What's up, other Josh?
What's up, man?
How's it going, man?
Man, we are
Oh,
excited.
man, it's going good.
We are excited about this. First off, I've got to say I made a blunder, and I was really hoping that you were accepting of my apology to Charlie. I didn't want you coming after me because, like I said, we've seen your videos. We know what you can do. Definitely.
And we definitely know there's not that much space between Murfreesboro and Jackson, Tennessee.
So we had a scheduling conflict, and we had to record a day early. And I don't know what in my mind I was being, I guess, weakly dyslexic. And I said the day after instead of the day before. So I told Charlie, hey, let's record Monday at 12. And I meant Saturday at 12. And Charlie sent me back a message like, hey, he's good to go at Monday. And I'm like, I can't do Monday. And I'm like, what's Charlie thinking? And then I went back and looked. I was like, oh, I'm an idiot. My bad. So, yeah, man, I appreciate you being forgiving, I guess is the good word to say. And but, yeah, we're excited to have you on.
I totally understand, man. Life gets in the way sometimes. I know that. You are scheduling conflicts. But luckily, I set my own hours, so we're good to go. Anytime y'all could get me in, man.
Well, let's plug this right off the bat and we're going to do this a couple of times. Johnathan Ivey's Cage Fighting Championships 9, Saturday, March 6, 2021, 7 p.m. at the Middle Tennessee Expo Center, 1660 Middle Tennessee Boulevard, Murfreesboro, Tennessee, USA. Get your tickets right now at cfcfight.com. Johnathan, I mean, I know you've probably been running all over the place for this event.
Bro, what you just did right there, you spit that out like it was wow, that was impressive. Yeah, doors open at 6:30. Fight start at 7:30. Right there at Murfreesboro at the Middle Tennessee Expo. You're a professional. Wow. Yeah, man, it's real hectic here. We're getting down to now. It's a week before the show. So the last couple of weeks, it's been pretty much just 24 hours a day getting geared up for this thing, man. We're proud of what it's grown into, and yeah, man. Everybody's saying it's the biggest growing thing, fastest growing MMA event in Tennessee. So let's do it.
Yeah, and I noticed on the card you got some big guys in your main event. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, physically, yes. I mean, we've got a lot of super heavyweights on this event, man. I like watching the big guys fight. Listen, I've always had a rule. If I've dated a woman that weighs more than two men that are in the cage fighting, I just can't get into watching them fight. So some of these guys are, in the 135-pound range, which that's fine. Different preferences for everybody, but I like watching the big boys get in there and knuckle up and throw hands. So that's primarily what we got on this card. And yeah, man, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I mean, this is the number 9, and I know we've talked before about wrestling and promoting shows. I've promoted some wrestling shows, clearly not on the level of CFC, but, man, I tell you, it's a stressful thing being the promoter. Anybody you've had to leg lock so far, or are you just kind of swallowing the frustration?
Not on this event, thankfully, but there's been one time the guy came in for the main event. He weighed in. He went back to the hotel we put him up at, and then the next day just decided he wasn't going to leave the hotel room. Oh, wow. And it took everybody on my team to keep me from going to that hotel room and kicking the door in and doing something bad. But yeah, I mean, there's been a couple of those kind of situations arising. I was on the other side for a long time fighting and not promoting, and I never realized. I mean, it's a lot less stressful getting in the cage fighting than it is trying to put one of these things together. That's for sure.
Yeah, watching Dana White do what he does on the level that he does is always impressive, especially if you know what goes into it at all.
Yeah, and as long as he's been doing it and he hasn't, had a stroke yet or anything, that's really what's impressive.
He gets more pasty and more red the more you see him, though.
Yeah, and you don't know if he's getting gray hair because he keeps it all cut off. So who knows what he looks like when he lets it grow out.
He's fooling everybody for sure.
It's easy to liken a promoter, a good promoter that really cares. You can liken him to the president and how they age after 4 years.
Oh, right.
That picture, if you take a picture of them 4 years later, they look like they've seen some shit.
They look weathered, like an old lawn chair or something.
Especially after the last year of what he's had to go through and trying to make sure that it all went through.
Yeah, speaking of which, what Josh just pointed out, how was getting through COVID with all this?
Well, we haven't had an event in a year. Our last event was March 7th of 2020.
Right at the end.
And we've waited. It's been a full year, and this show is going to be on March 6th, 2020. So 364 days since we've had an event, man, to get through this social distancing and no groups being able to form and all that kind of stuff.
It's good to see it come back, though.
Definitely.
But we waited it out, man, and we hit this thing 100 miles an hour. So listen, as a fighter, I won some and lost some. I've had a mixed record. But as a promoter, I'm 8-0. So I take one of these. I take every one of these things like it's life and death, man. These things got to be successful. So I take it real serious.
But I tell you what, man, it's almost like a breath of fresh air because my buddy Richard over here, he just hosted a MMA.
I didn't host. I just did announcing. With Charlie.
You were the MC, if you will,
right?
And here in town, an MMA event, and it was almost like like I say, a breath of fresh air, or a return to semi-normalcy. You know what I mean? And it's a good feeling seeing that events are popping up.
I likened it to riding a bike. It's kind of like if you haven't rode a bike in a while and you get back on the bike and you're like, holy shit, I'm riding a bike and I can still do this. Yeah. That event was a breath of fresh air. And I know the people of Murfreesboro, once again, Johnathan Ivey's Cage Fighting Championship 9, Saturday, March 6th at the Middle Tennessee Expo Center. I know all those people in Murfreesboro, they're going to look at that as a breath of fresh air too, because I don't know of a lot of things that's been happening in the state of Tennessee on this level.
Not very much.
This is a Kickstarter, man. This is something that gets people excited, a return to normalcy.
Yeah, and we take the CDC guidelines about taking precautions and all that, but I think people being able to get out and enjoy it safely in an event like this is what people need, man. Concerts need to start coming back and stuff, and we need to get back to some sort of normalcy.
What's the first concert you're looking to want to go to? What's an artist you want to go see is when we get all this lifted?
Richard, I'm sure we listen to different music. Who are you into right now?
Man,
who would you go see?
I'll be honest. I listen to a lot of stuff. Like I know we've got Snoop Dogg coming to town pretty soon. I also listen to rock and alternative and country. I mean, I listen to a lot of different things. So for me, I might try to hit up that Snoop Dogg concert here in Jackson.
Snoop Dogg's coming to Jackson, Tennessee?
He was supposed
ballpark.
He was supposed to come last year, and it got canceled because of COVID.
Wow.
See, we got an old baseball stadium that's not being used because they didn't renew the contracts. Pretty much the little franchise left town after last year. So now they're trying to do this angle where they're going to be promoting concerts and stuff. And what a way to start off with Snoop Dogg,
it
right?
ain't the first one. They had 3-6 Mafia there.
Willie Nelson.
Nelly's been in town. Yeah. Couple of old school good ones. Yeah.
I came to me and Jelly Roll used to be real tight, and we came to Jackson. I think it was it Mix Factory that used to be there?
Yes,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we would go to the I can't remember the gentleman's name. He was a tall, bald-headed guy that did Elvis Presley impersonations. But we used to go there, and Jelly would perform, and it was I always had a good experience in Jackson.
Yeah. The Mix Factory. I want to think they did a Tough Man contest there, and one of my experiences there was the promoter that I was wrestling for at the time said, "Hey guys, I got this great idea. We're going to do wrestling shows in between MMA fights or in between Tough Man contests." And I said, "You've got to be shitting me. There's no way that I can watch. You could watch guys trying to take each other's head off legitimately, and then us going there and do our thing. It's just two different worlds."
Yeah.
But you get them old ladies out there in the front. Why ain't he trying to snap Murray? Well, this is an MMA fight,
right?
I tried to make the transition. There's a small wrestling event here locally in Middle Tennessee and Lebanon, Tennessee that does it. And I wanted to make the transition. And my buddy, we met with the guy that owned the little company and everything. We thought it was a go. And then at the last minute, we didn't get to do it. But, man, I was really looking forward to that. I think I could sell it.
Honestly, dude, I honestly believe you are absolute money in professional wrestling.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was kind of your calling card for MMA is the performance.
The entrances.
The entrances.
I think I'm still the only MMA guy that did the people's elbow in an MMA fight.
That's amazing.
And pulled it off.
That's amazing. And for as big as you are, you're an athlete, like a natural athlete, and so you would transition pretty well over to that art form, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I was sold on it, man. I really wanted to do it. I was excited about it, and then we already had a storyline that we pitched to the guy and everything. It just didn't happen for one reason or another. But, man, I was gung-ho about it.
We got Memphis Wrestling starting back up. Maybe we need to put him in contact with Dustin Starr. Yeah, Memphis Wrestling starting back up here in the Memphis area, and they're actually doing shows on YouTube. We know the promoter of the show. Maybe we need to touch base and get y'all in contact together.
There we go, man. Yeah, for sure, 100%. I'm ready.
It's always good when you bring a guy like legit in too, because then you don't have to do a lot either. I mean, you just show up, do your performance, and they know you're a legit badass.
Well, right, because you remember back when we were kids, Dan Severn had no problem going to the WWF at the time, and that was his gimmick. Yeah, I am a badass.
You don't have to do moonsaults, you don't have to do plunges, you don't have to do any of that stuff. You just wrestle and you tell a story, and that's it. And I think you could do that pretty well. So yeah, we need to get you guys hooked up. But speaking of fighting and untraditional fightings, we were sitting here before, we were trying to get geeked up for this interview, and we were looking for weird things we could find online, and I asked the guys if they had ever heard of this, and they had said no. And Josh Goblay over here, the one's joining us, other Josh
Josh too,
he told us, he's like, I have never heard of that in my life, and he's more of an MMA aficionado than we are. So what I showed him though was a thing called shock fighting. Have you ever heard of shock fighting?
Never heard of it before in my life. What is that?
Okay, so shock fighting has two competitors, and they're wearing boxing gloves.
Not even full boxing gloves. They're basically wearing MMA gloves.
Yes.
They're the small 4 to 6 ounce gloves.
And in their right hand, they have just a regular glove. In their left hand, they have in their hand a taser.
And it's taped to the glove.
And it's
like duct tape to the glove.
Duct tape to the glove. So, and the finish was somebody trying to tase a guy, and he's trying to avoid the taser, and he catches an overhand right.
I'm gonna go ahead and go on a limb and say this isn't sanctioned.
Oh no.
No. It is literally set up under a bridge in a real boxing ring.
I tell you what, this is a great opportunity, and if this doesn't go anywhere, we will edit this out. But let's say that Johnathan Ivey is promoting shock fighting. How do you get that sanctioned?
I think it's going to be near impossible, unfortunately. But we'll try to fly it under the radar. We'll try to get it through.
There we go. I like it. Let's just not say anything and see what happens. It's better to ask forgiveness than permission.
Right.
I was wanting to hear the sales pitch. I was wanting to hear the sales pitch to the commission to be like, okay, this is what I got. Okay.
Do you know how hard it was to get sanctioned MMA rules to begin with? Unified sanctioned MMA rules, and consider and get all the stupid congressmen and senators on board when they called it human cockfighting back in the day and all that shit. It was impossible. That New York's only been sanctioned for 3 years now, 4 years. I mean,
Yeah, in Tennessee, it was illegal in Tennessee for a long time, man.
Wow.
Senator John McClain was trying to get it banned back in the original stages, and come to find out, he was a huge boxing fan, and that's why he wanted to get rid of it, because it was competition for boxing.
That's
so it was
exactly
crazy.
Right. A lot of those sanctions, when you get into the weird governmental conspiracy-ness, it almost always goes back to a guy that has ties to something else and had incentive to not legalize or support the thing that's on the fringe.
Right.
That's the reason weed is illegal now, is because of a fucking guy way back in the day. He owned a newspaper company, a giant newspaper company, or several, and he also owned the paper mills that made the paper. And then hemp paper was becoming all the rage, and because of that, he was terrified that if hemp paper took over, he would lose his paper sources and have to start buying his paper from other people. And so he used his own newspapers to then put out propaganda against weed to make it seem terrible to everyone.
Wow. Is that really right?
That's
legit.
legit.
I didn't know that.
We try to teach people things here on P3 Radio.
Educational programming.
exactly right.
This is on PBS.
Yeah. Welcome back to NPR. Next, we're going to be tackling the deficit.
Yeah.
We are not sponsored by International Paper, mind you.
Or weed.
Right. One of us is just a hobbyist.
Yeah.
But once again, we talked about shock fighting. That is not what you're going to see. Those crowds were blimps on the radar. Those arenas were blimps on the radar. Unlike the big event coming up, Middle Tennessee, at the Middle Tennessee Expo Center. Once again, March 6, 2021, Johnathan Ivey Cage Fighting Championships 9s. All right, now we talked about cage fighting. We talked about MMA. We've talked about shock fighting. But let's talk a little bit about some other sports, Jonathan. What do you think? Josh, you want to ask this question?
I
This was yours.
I remembered, and I asked Richard before the show. I said his favorite football team is the Washington Redskins, right? Because I remember you saying that, I thought, during the last interview, and you would be the perfect person because you are a fan. What do you think about the name change?
Well, the Washington football team, I think they're going to hold that for at least the complete of next year, but then they're going to make a decision on it. But I'm not a fan. But I still call them the Redskins. They're always going to be the Redskins to me. Listen, like 10 years ago, I want to say they had a poll come up, and then all the Native American organizations sided with they weren't offended by it, and now they said that they said back then they didn't poll enough of them. Well, it wasn't some racist white guy that came up with the name Redskins. It was actually a Native American that came up with the mascot, the Redskins, and the logo.
Right.
But they're always going to be the Redskins to me. I got it tattooed on my body. As many times as I've been called white boy derogatory in my lifetime, I feel like I have the authority to say Redskins whenever I'm cheering for my team. So I'm okay with it.
What are you thinking about the quarterback, Haskins?
Well, Haskins isn't our quarterback. He got traded.
Right.
He's gone. I was a big Haskins supporter until I realized that he couldn't play at that level. But, I don't think our Redskin. I don't think our quarterback of next season is on the roster yet. Kyle Allen's fine. Alex Smith's fine, but I think we need to probably go get somebody in free agency. If Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson have any intentions on leaving their teams, and I think they do, they're welcome in Washington. Now, I know neither one of them want to come to Washington, but our defense is coming on. We're picking up steam, and offense, I think, is just a player or two away. I really believe that.
It turns out that when Tom Brady goes to a different team, he's a really good quarterback, and it makes a giant difference.
Yeah, but I tell you what, that Washington defense is stacked, and I tell you, there was times last year when I was like, man, if this offense was just a little bit better, this would be a Super Bowl contender team right here.
Well, that's always been a winning formula in football. If you can have a really, really good defense and a manageable offense, something slightly above average, you can win a championship.
And that defensive end that you guys got, Sweat, is a beast. Yeah, he's a beast.
Well, and Chase Young got Defensive Rookie of the Year. But when you look at the playoffs games from last season, the Buccaneers played the Redskins, the Saints, the Packers, and the Chiefs. Who played them the toughest? Us.
Yeah.
First playoff game. Now, I'm not putting us necessarily in those other teams' league right now, but we played them the toughest out of all their playoff games.
It shows potential.
But Johnathan Allen, Deron Payne, Chase Young, Montez Sweat, if we get Ryan Kerrigan back, bro, our defensive line is pretty nice.
That's awesome. Let me switch gears on you. I'm assuming you keep up with national MMA and not just the regional circuit. What do you think about Izzy on the same night that your guys are fighting?
Yeah, well, it's so hard to plan that ahead of time, and anymore, as long as it's not Conor McGregor back in the day, Ronda Rousey, or Brock Lesnar back in the day. But there's always going to be things like that come up. But yeah, I'm a fan of his, and sure, I'll record it and go home and watch it afterwards. But hopefully, people in Murfreesboro are still pumped up, and from ticket sales, I can tell that they're still excited about us coming back after a year. So, but yeah, I'm excited about that fight as well.
Yeah. Do you think he can pull it off, the two belts?
Yep. Yep. I think he's so dynamic as an athlete, man. And I'm just really excited. And his stand up is just silly.
He's next level good. He definitely has the best. And every time they tell him that he hasn't faced a wrestler, and then you go back and look, and it's Robert Whittaker and Yoel Romero and Kelvin Gastelum and all these monsters that take people down constantly. It's like, well, it turns out he's been okay recently. So,
in your opinion, who's the best that's ever stepped in a cage?
Unfortunately, I'm not a fan of John's, but John is the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's just the best. And
Izzy's everybody
chasing
he's fought is killers.
Yeah, Izzy's chasing him. I think if John wouldn't have put on the extra weight, I think it would have been an interesting fight at 205. But they said John weighed in at 252 the other day. I don't think he's coming back.
No, I think he's determined to go get Stepe or whoever's going to be up at the top.
Yeah, I think so. And then it's just up to Izzy whether or not he wants to put on a few more pounds and weigh in at about 225 and fight at heavyweight. You know what I mean? And see if he can outspeed John. I just don't know that anybody's good enough to beat John. John's as good as it's ever gotten, unfortunately.
Gustafson had a good chance, and that one fight.
Yes,
I
he
think
did.
I rewatched it, and I think I gave Gustafson
I gave
3 rounds.
Gustafson the
But
fight too. The other one that I thought that he lost was the Dominic Reyes fight. I thought it was
Right.
a razor thin fight, but I thought he lost it.
Yep.
But other than that, he's been spotless his entire career. It's hard to argue against him.
besides that downward elbow he threw against
Matt Hamill.
Yeah. Hamill.
Yeah.
He lost that fight and he was dominating it
He
too.
was
That's
destroying
crazy.
him, yeah. Other than John, I think the only other argument for GOAT has to be GSP. You know what I mean? But other than that, because
Nate Marquardt would have something else to say about that.
Well,
He's
GSP definitely has.
He's a very greasy person.
That's the
according to
only.
Nate.
That's the only mark against GSP in his whole career. He quit because steroids were too prevalent. You know what I mean? I think he has a real argument of being, because John's extracurricular activities, are a black stain on his career, but not his record, right? And so it's kind of the opposite for both of them. But if you hate John enough to where you just pull him out of the argument, then I think GSP is your natural, and then Khabib is clearly going to become a legend as time goes on.
If we could be sure that the fights over in Japan were real, Fedor would have to be up there,
See,
but we just don't know if they were real.
That's right.
That's what I was going to say. For me personally, my two all-time favorite competitors in MMA would either be Kazushi Sakuraba or Fedor Emelianenko. I mean, it's just that's.
I love Fedor's brother more than him because he was the most hardcore motherfucker I've ever seen fight in my
legit
life.
Russian prison dude, man.
Yeah.
Like he was legit.
But Johnathan actually brings up a good point here that when we were younger, Japan's known for doing these like shoot fights that are not really shoot fights, because we used to get those videotapes where it was we used to get those videotapes and they were like shoot fight number 7 from Japan, and you're like, that's Big Van Vader.
Yeah,
he's not shoot fighting.
No.
He's got him in a leg lock that's like it's not even a real leg lock.
Yeah.
Well, there's no commission over there, right? And so I've got a friend that fought on Pride 1, and he admitted to me that they brought him over a week early and they choreographed the fight between him and the Japanese guy.
Right.
And then Mark Coleman's came out publicly and said his fight over there where he got heel hooked was a work. But so there's definitely some stuff going on. But now Fedor just went on such a tear over there that all of them couldn't have been fake, you wouldn't think, but you don't ever know.
And the problem is by the time he got back to America to fight what you would consider high-level competition again,
he was 75.
Yeah,
He
he was just too old, man.
It was like Jimmy Valiant.
We just
in there.
didn't get to see it. Because he fought some legit guys toward the end of his career.
Oh, I honestly believe Big Nog, whenever he was like in his prime, that's probably one of the toughest motherfuckers to ever face and try to either quit or knock out.
And who's the other Brazilian that beat him first? The guy that submitted him. I'm forgetting his
Verdun?
name. Yes, Fabricio Verdun.
Yeah. Who's a stud in
he's
his
a
own
monster,
right.
yeah. But obviously he's gotten too old and, had to retire and do some things on the side.
He's been fighting since I was a kid.
Yeah, he's been around.
Well, we're talking about this because I don't want anybody having to rewind. So let's plug it again. Johnathan Ivey's Cage Fighting Championships, Saturday, March 6th, 7 p.m., Middle Tennessee Expo Center, 1660 Middle Tennessee Boulevard, Murfreesboro, Tennessee, USA. Tickets are available right now on cfcfight.com. Go and get those because, you're going to see a lot of things in UFC that they do, but right now you're not going to see a crowd. And I'm telling you, when I came to that Jackson show when they did that one here, having that crowd there just pumped me up. It made me feel like normal again. You need to get out to Johnathan Ivey's Cage Fighting Championship, cfcfight.com. Get your tickets now. Go out there and see it because, the crowds are going to be live and they're going to be ready to see some action. It's been a year. But within that same vein, Johnathan, what are your thoughts on the empty arenas for these UFC fights? Are you digging it? Are you not? What's your thoughts?
It's odd, man, and the same thing with the NFL games. Washington didn't have any fans in the stadium this year. It's just it comes off as odd, and I think it affects the performances. I don't think the when there's no electricity, it's a dead feeling. Watching it, and it's a dead feeling in there trying to be the athlete and compete during something like that. It's just I wouldn't want to do it. Right. But I'm not a huge fan of it. I think we just need to get back to some sort of normalcy and take precautions. But man, there's a risk in everything you do, man. When you turn on your car, ignition in your car, and you drive down the road, there's a risk. So I just think we need to get back to some sort of normalcy and get this thing going a little bit.
Yeah, I can't remember who the fighter was, but one of the fighters actually came out from UFC and said they were liking the fact that they could hear their coaches better, they could get instructions better, they could hear one guy, I can't remember, it was on UFC recently, said he could hear the announcer say, "Oh, he's going for a heel hook." And he knew, I got to get out of this. But it's something to be said. I mean, I know you guys are pumped up, ready to go. Let's get some predictions from you. We won't say who you think is going to win or lose, but what do you think probably has the potential on your card to be fight of the night?
Chase McMullen, he's our super heavyweight champion. He's about 6'4", about 280. Now in Martin, Tennessee, there's a video circulating, I don't know, a little while back where he knocked out 5 people in a nightclub parking lot in Martin. They all said it was that college basketball player for Kentucky, but it wasn't. It was him.
Wow.
But he's ferocious in and outside of the cage, evidently. But he's fighting the number 1 contender, Sage Mullins, who's a very high level wrestler, and he's probably about 255 right now. It could go either way. And when 2 people that big start throwing hands with each other, it can get inciting. And then we also have 2 other guys that are in the top 5. We got a guy. Hold on, we got a guy that's about 360. He's ranked number 5 in the CFC super heavyweight division. He's fighting the number 2 ranked guy that's about 290, and he had about a 10-second knockout his last fight where he just threw a big overhand right. Anytime those big guys start swinging, man, I get pumped. So either one of those, I think, could take it.
I tell you what, man, we just said something a minute ago about you in professional wrestling, and you know how to sell things, man. I mean, that's where a lot of promoters could take note, because you sold me when you said there's a video of this guy back alley fighting in a parking lot, knocking people out. Like, now I want to see this. You know what I mean? So
what's that basketball player for Kentucky last year that went to the pros? What was his name?
Zion? No.
Yeah.
Zion
Type
Williamson?
in Zion Williamson, I think's his name. Type in his street fight, and that's the video that'll come up. It says it's Zion, but it's not. It's Chase McMullen. Yeah. And he just starts laying people down. I think it's still on there.
Let me help sell this for anybody who is a UFC fan who might be considering not going to your event. You can't see 290 and 360-pound people fight in the UFC. That's not possible. They don't allow it.
Right. There's no super heavyweight division.
That's right. And so that's one thing you can – and viewing it in person is a different experience than viewing it on TV. And thirdly, let me just go ahead and sell you, the main event, which is mostly what you're paying for, the main event doesn't start until 11:30 most of the time. You got an hour to get home after this thing's over with and still catch the main event.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when you buy the pay-per-view on ESPN Plus, they'll let you rewatch it as many times as you want, so you can watch the main event and then go back and watch the rest of the fights.
Hold on. I just pulled up that video. I don't know if Johnathan, you might not be able to hear this. We are watching. He is what I would take the equivalent of like Bruce Leeing these people in this parking lot right now.
And you can tell
he tries to walk away at first, but then you can tell when he gets mad and he just starts laying them down.
Dude, and you can tell he's got skill too. You can tell he's not just a big dude.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like,
just let that dude hit him.
What is that old Saturday Night Live skit where they're like, "How did we say we were going to attack him? All together. How did we attack him? One at a time." And I feel like that was a bad strategy here. I mean,
I love the.
Yeah, they should have definitely jumped him at once.
I mean, one of them grab a leg, one of them grab another leg.
What's up with the dude in the Tennessee hoodie trying to break the fight up, and he's like way smaller? Good luck, bro.
Yeah. I love how Johnathan was like, yeah, they should have all attacked him at once. It's like, Johnathan Ivey instructs crowds how to gang mentality. That would be what would be taken away from this interview.
No, he's just telling people how to smartly beat other people up. Yeah. Right? Use your intelligence. Work smarter, not harder.
Well, once again, the leg lock monster, Johnathan Ivey. We'll promote it one more time because it needs to be promoted, guys. It doesn't need to be promoted. It's going to sell itself, but we got to sing its praises because we're excited to see it back. Johnathan Ivey, Cage Fighting Championships 9, Saturday, March 6th at the Middle Tennessee Expo Center at 1660 Middle Tennessee Boulevard, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Tickets are available right now at cfcfight.com. And once again, we're going to say thanks to a friend of the show. Like we said, hopefully not an enemy.
Friend of God, it's not an enemy.
Pray to God it's not an enemy. Friend of the show, Johnathan Ivey, the Leg Lock Monster. Thank you for being on the show today, man. It's awesome to talk to you, and you have an open invite to come back whenever you want.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks, Josh. Josh, too. I really appreciate you guys. And I'll come on here anytime you want, man. This was fun. And, Richard, I'm going to be talking to you probably later today, man. I'll call you privately and discuss some business stuff with you, bro.
All right. I appreciate it. Once again, Johnathan Ivey, go check out his show Saturday, March 6th at the Middle Tennessee Expo Center. We'll be right back. All right. We would be remiss, much to Josh number 2's chagrin here, if we didn't mention our t-shirt provider, and that is tinyurl.com/P3radiotees. Hook us up. Hook us up with some of your patronage.
Hey,
there we go.
we just want your money.
Yeah,
and the way you can give us our money is go to tinyurl.com/P3radiotees. Pick that number 2 option. Don't just be a cheap person and just
Chiseler.
Get that $15 gimmick. You need the $19.95 gimmick. That's higher quality cotton. See, we're covering all bases. We even got a Section 8 t-shirt.
Well, listen, if you do like their t-shirt designs, which are all amazing, and you like sandpaper, you just go with the cheapest option, and then you get to look at the logo while you lightly sand your work.
Or, I mean, if you're you got a car to sand down, you want to repaint.
That's right.
Use one of them cheap shirts.
That's
but
right.
if you go to that number 2 and beyond option, you're going to get high quality cotton, baby. And the way you're going to do that, tinyurl.com/P3radiotees.
tinyurl.com/P3radiotees. Go check them out. Hook us up. Buy a shirt. All the proceeds go to P3 Radio. It's a very weird charity we're doing.
The Improving the Podcast Initiative.
Go there right now, tinyurl.com/P3radio. Well, Josh, we want to say once again, thanks, Josh and Josh. We both of us. We're polite people.
Dose Josh.
We want to say thanks once again to Mr. Johnathan Ivey. Go and check out his event, March 6th, 7:30. I mean,
Murfreesboro.
You're gonna love it. I mean, there's no way that you're not gonna come out of that just having the time of your life. Go and check that out right now. But that's going to do it for us. Once again, Josh, if they're listening to the show, they like it, how can they check us out? How can they email us? How can they follow us on social media?
Social media hookups.
And how could they give us a text, call, or email?
Well, I'm going to tell you what. If you're on Twitter, if you're a Twitterer, we are at P3 Radio, the number 1 on Facebook. Search Pop Poncho, Poncho, in that search bar, and you will see our profile picture. And if you're an old schooler, you want to send a text, possibly a voicemail, prank us up. Our number is 731-300-6675.
Well, that's going to do it for Josh Briley and Josh Gobley. This is Rich Mulligan saying thanks for listening, and good night.